from this conference and from this presentation, Monday, start forming your lab. Start forming your library advisory board. And then, and this is something we came up in our interactions, is the community partnership advisory. And Susan's going to talk more about that. But, you know, the combination of a school-based advisory board that's teachers and administrators with you, and then a community-based one, that invests others in the program. So you're not isolated, even if you're the sole professional in your school, that you're connected. And then this pie chart planning, which I'll talk about right now. Where do you spend your time and effort in the Library Information and Technology program? In some ways, we're fortunate that we get to choose how we, the aspects of our program and where our emphasis and our focus is. But that's a double-edged sword, because what it's done is it's unaccountable, and people are not as engaged with our program. The math teachers really don't have much choice about what are the major focal points or emphasis of their program, right? They've got these various curriculum standards that they have to help students to learn. Well, we need to think about it in the same way. In your school, what is the balance among information and technology skills instruction, reading advocacy, and information management and services? Where should your time and effort be spent? Now, if you are a person who's half-time in a school, that's 100%, right? That's 100% of your time and effort. If you're a martyr and you like to work extra and you're there all the time until 9 o'clock at night or whatever, 7 days a week, you still have 100%. So you can't work harder. We can't say, we're going to add to the information technology skills instruction. Well, if you do that, then we have to kind of decrease a little in one or more of the others. And these are the tough decisions that those boards help to make, and then they own it. And what happens is they become advocates for expanding the pie. Because if they say, well, we need more in this, but we can't afford to decrease the reading advocacy, then what we do is we need to build a bigger pie. That might be more staff, it might be more support, it might be resources and other things. That's why, by giving up control, or the appearance of control, we actually gain for our program. That's why that advisory group is so important. Also, something last year that I was working with Les Voltos, who's in the audience, who's involved with the peer coaching stuff, which is fantastic. And we had this revelation that, all of our standards and the way we think about library information and technology programs and the role of the teacher librarian is that the teacher librarian is the primary teacher of the information and technology literacy. The teacher librarian is the one that delivers the reading advocacy. Right? Well, that, in a school, if I'm a high school person and I've got 1,500, 2,000 kids, I can't do all the teaching of all the skills and things like that. I need to think about a role that's also involving planning, managing, and coaching. So maybe rather than delivering all the instruction, I provide mini lessons that are integrated into the classrooms that teachers do. And there's a role. So I have a chart. This is the alternate TL roles and approaches. So in information and technology skills instruction, there's a continuum between a delivery-centered approach and a management-centered approach. Now, where do you fit in this? It all depends, but it will depend upon what you and the advisory boards decide. And then you communicate that, right? So in a way, you can plan, manage, and coach the instructional program, because our mission is not to ensure that teacher librarians teach all the skills. Our mission is to ensure that students are effective users and producers of ideas and information. So I don't care in some ways how they learn it. It's my responsibility to see that they learn it. I know, I'm just about out of time, so get ready, Sarah. Okay. And it's the same thing with all these other roles and aspects. So this idea of kind of teasing out what your role is really important. Also, in our big program, we came up with this 4-part aspect of the program that I think is also generalizable to LID programs. And that is your program needs to be carefully and completely defined. It needs to be predictable. So, you know, if it's Tuesday, what's going on? And what happens in the second grade every year, and the third grade, and the fourth grade, and fifth. It needs to be measured. If it's not measured, it ain't valued, right? And it needs to be reported. And there are different ways to report things out. I'm going to switch to that, right? You can report out to the students. How many of you report to the students on their level of information technology skills instruction? We don't. But if we are teachers, we need to do that. I have a dream. I have a dream that there are a report card line item called information and technology skills or information literacy and teacher librarians. Because if you assign a grade and you assess, they're not going to cut you. Because then somebody else has to do it. Right? Now, there are other ways to do it. If you don't have it on a report card, how about a monthly message, letter, newsletter that doesn't talk about all the cute, nice, new stuff you have. But instead it says, in the first grade, we worked on this set of skills, and they learned those. In the second grade, in the month of October, we learned this. In the third grade, this. In the fourth grade, this. And the last thing that we might put in those newsletters is, and parents, at dinner or on the way to soccer practice or whatever, you might ask your students this question or that question. So we engage the parents and engage the community. So my time is up, and I'll take more during questions and whatever. But to me, it comes down to systematic narrowing, making sure that what we do is essential. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah. Oh, wait, I was supposed to do this. We're going to give you this at the end in terms of the thing. There's a LIN program checklist. And so what I emphasize is you need to embrace the brand. LIN is a good brand. And practice saying library, information, and technology. Say that with me.
Library, information, and technology.
And say program at that. So I'm a teacher librarian. I run the Library, Information, and Technology program. Library's in there, but it's more. And I realize it's redundant to say library and information because it's really underlined. It doesn't matter. It's a political, it's a brand thing. Right? The other thing that I'll say is own it. It's yours. Shout it from the rooftops. And then you determine the priorities with pie chart planning. So, with that, I will turn it over to Sarah.